I've heard of a podcast. I know what a book is. What's a pod book, and why have you decided to share your work in this new format?
So it is a love child between a book and a podcast. And I've written 35 books, as a lot of books, and you've gone through publishers and done all that business. And I wanted to do something different. And I wanted to do it differently for two reasons. One was that it's more immediate and more connected. That's what I love about podcasts like this. We're talking, you meet me and you hear my voice, and there's no printed word between us. There's a direct connection with another human being who's on this strange journey of being alive and heading towards death and trying to understand it. So I love that. But I also love the structure of a book. And you will have a nice conversation. I hope there'll be some interesting things we say, but it probably won't be particularly structured like a book would be. It's not like we'll get this idea and then this idea. So I wanted that same structure of exploring the ideas I want to share in a completely gettable order, highly structured, but with the immediacy of talking. So I decided to try something new, and we'll see if it works. People are used to being able to jump around. Oh, I listened to that episode of the podcast, but not the other one. Whereas this requires a little bit more discipline. It says, start at chapter 1, then chapter 2, then chapter 3. But what you'll get is 15, 20 minutes of me exploring, get this idea. Okay, now I get this idea. I wanted to be able to give it away because I'm getting older now and life is short. And I really want to get the ideas out. It's been 8 years since my last book of intense work on this philosophy, much longer than I anticipated, but well worth it. So now it feels like, okay, I want to communicate this very clearly over the next year. And those people that want to can make that journey with me. And at the end, I hope it'll be of value to them in their own lives. And I've called it Why Your Life Really Matters, because I want to start right away from the start. I want to go, look, this is philosophy. It is about what's the nature of existence, essentially. What is life? What is this we're in? And what should we do with it? How do we know? It's all those big philosophical questions. But to me, they impact directly on how we experience life. And I want to articulate why I think human life is really significant, everybody's human life, by creating a vision of what existence is from my exploration of it that reveals, oh, yeah, no, your life it's not just throwaway, it's something significant.
I love actually the way for this new format, you have dropped the written word, because even if we go back to the genesis of the Buddha teaching or Christ teaching, there is no written word there. It's heart to heart communication. And, yes, this might be via a screen, but it's still person to person. So I love it because it almost recaptures that immediacy, as you say, of wisdom, coming from one human to another human.
I think it's
And
easy to miss, isn't it, Mike? That the book, which I love, and my last book, Soul Stories, behind me, and what I'm doing now is a massive expansion on the ideas that I started there. And books are beautiful, but they're technology.
mm,
That arose at a certain time in history, and writing's a technology which arose at a certain time in history to represent speech. And we've now got the ability to connect directly. You could have written me a letter with these questions. I could have written the answers and sent them back to you, and you could have published them. But we can do this, and so it feels like, no, let's keep up with how we communicate now,
mm.
and have that yeah, what you exactly what you described, the immediacy.
I'd like to return to that just a little later, actually. But through your career then and your own journey, because you've studied such a wide variety of the wisdom traditions, East and West, which is what fascinates me. I studied Western esotericism to sort of match my interest in the Eastern philosophy. Where are you now? What have you discovered, and has the mystery of existence become any less mysterious?
Well, the mystery has definitely not become less mysterious. I think it's probably more mysterious. I mean, I wake up every morning and what am I in? What is this? What's happening? What is it to be alive? And the more you find out about the universe, the more mind blowing it becomes. What we're in, not less. So it is mysterious, but also we understand more of it. That enables us to connect like we are right now on the internet. Our ancestors couldn't do that because they didn't understand things about the universe that we do. So our understanding does increase, but it doesn't diminish how profoundly mysterious it all is, because it's, we're just beginning, I feel, to get any handle on what it is. And even when we know what it is, it's still beautiful and exquisite. I mean, I've been born in this strange, interesting, eclectic time. And what that's led to in my case, Mike, and I think a lot of us, is a kind of ability to look around and go, what's that? What's Buddhism? What's Taoism? What's Sufism? What's Zen? What's Hermeticism? And I've been very lucky that I've been able to write books on all of them. And so delve into them deeply. And my first intuition from all of that, which was in the air, I would say generally anyway, was a perennial philosophy approach of going, these are all saying the same things in different ways here. There's common experiences, and there are common experiences. And I felt like what I wanted to do was go through all the traditions and draw out what that common experience was, and try to do that. And that led to another phase of my work where I moved on. Do you know what? I should be doing what they're doing, which is I should re-express it. So how can I express the perennial philosophy for now? How can I do that? And that became a big part of my work. And then it all changed again. And this last period, this last 15 years, maybe 10, 15 years, it now feels like, oh, no, it's not that. It's to do what the men and women I most admire did, to have to attempt it, is not to repeat what they did in any way. It's actually to go, okay, what do we know now about the universe? And how does that cast the spiritual experiences that I've been having all my life and that other people have? And that's led me to go, oh, I think I was wrong. Really, I'm saying the perennial philosophy is wrong, and that it's of its time. And people did their best at different times in history with the ideas they had available. Whereas now we have other ideas available. And now we're in a post-scientific world. And the big thing we understand is that everything points to the universe being an evolutionary process, that it's gone from the simplest forms imaginable to this over the course of just under 14 billion years. Our ancestors knew nothing of that. They couldn't. So now it feels like, well, the basic premise that I start the Podbook with is there's been these revolutions in our understanding throughout history. The last big one was the scientific revolution. The plus side of the scientific revolution is all of this and all of our understanding, which is incredible. But it reacted against what had been before. And so it also dismissed not just religion, but spirituality as about nothing. So that you ended up with this kind of reductionist view that reality goes as far as biology, and then everything else is supernatural, and there will be another big shift. We just don't know what it is and when it will come. And what I'm trying to do with the Podbook is say, I think the next big shift is going to be a return of spirituality, because you can't exile something which is about a level of reality, which I think it is, forever. But it will be in a whole new form. And it will be in a form that could only exist after the scientific revolution. So what I'm trying to articulate is what that could be. A form of, and the essence of it would be, okay, if this is an evolutionary reality, let's go, everything is evolving. Everything is part of one process of evolution. But maybe it doesn't stop with biology. Maybe it includes the level of the psyche, which isn't just a bubble around your head or a side effect of the brain. It is, as the spiritual traditions have always said, it's a domain. There's an ecology of psyche. And that's what spirituality has been studying forever. It's real. I'm convinced of that from my own experience. But maybe it's not supernatural. Maybe it's a level of the one process of natural evolution. And that what spirituality is concerned with can be part of one evolutionary narrative. And that will be the next big shift.
from your view, then we're missing something when we get interested in spirituality and we hark back. We're reading the scriptures, we're reading the sutras, we're renouncing the world maybe to some degree. Um, yeah, what are we missing then when we're continually kind of looking over our shoulder back to the ancient masters? What are we missing? I guess we're missing a lot.
Yes, I think so. I mean, it's understandable, but we wouldn't do it in any other area. Oh, I've got brain cancer. I'm going to go and do what the ancients would have done, because Plato thought, the brain was a cooling system for the blood or anything like that. It's like, no, we wouldn't do that. What I see with the people that I love, I mean, I love these people in the past who've what they've done is they've taken it all forward. They are pioneers, and we should honor all of our ancestors in everything where they've taken us forward. But it wasn't like the ancients knew and we've forgotten. I really think that's a lot of nonsense. And a lot of the old spirituality, understandably, looks at the world, which and it goes, look, this is full of suffering. It's an awful place. This can't be it. It must be somewhere else. And the message is, get away. This is the illusion. You need to escape. What keeps you trapped here? Well, your humanity does. Your attachments, your passions, your thoughts, even just the mere fact that you're reflective. Everything is like, that's in the way. What I'm suggesting is we turn that completely on its head and go, no, no, no. I understand why you thought that. And God only knows the ancient world was pretty awful. People, you're lucky if you got to the age of 20 and most of your kids will die if you have kids. So it's not, there's no dentists, all of that. It's like,
just that fact.
Just that alone, if you've had dental pain, it's like, wow, no dentist. So, you can see why you might end up thinking that. But actually now we've realized, no, the great scientific revolution has turned the world into somewhere which is much better to be alive in. Still lots of suffering, but much better. Your kids don't die, by and large. How wonderful is that? So I think it's the opposite. I don't think our humanity is in the way. I think it's the opposite. I think we've evolved as these reflective, conscious individuals, and that's the foundation from which we go to the next level. And so I call the philosophy Unividualism, because I have this idea of the unividual as the next level of the individual. What happened with the scientific revolution was really a massive increase in individual reflection, from people who just existed collectively and all believed the same, to more and more questioning. And the more we questioned, the more we came up with better ideas. And that happened in science, but it also happened in the arts. You get the artist who revolutionizes everything rather than just repeats the same old thing. You get it with finance. You get the entrepreneur, new idea, let's do it this way. Inventors, everything. Suddenly, new. And the same needs to happen with spirituality. It's a bit, it has happened, but it's also stuck in the past. So that we can see that the next level on from that individual that we have become, and still need to become, is when that individual starts recognizing things which the old masters have been talking about, which is, and it's all one, for instance. And that recognition of unity, so the individual is an individual who recognizes that unity, is profoundly transformative. So that spiritual awakening, rather than an escape from the illusion of life, becomes the next level of the fulfillment of possibility to take it to another level.
So rather than state, I'm not this, it's more like I'm all of this.
Yes. But as you.
Yes, exactly.
The oneness, it's not like, well, really it's the one and you're a puppet. And,
yes.
the one is there and it's playing Tim and it's playing Mike. It's like, no, the oneness of being, the quality of the one. What is it? Look around you now. It's like everything is also one. It's what the Zen people call about the isness.
Yes.
There's an isness, and everything partakes of that, including you and me. But it's differentiated in all these different ways. So that isness, which has no qualities at all, it's just is, has evolved. The one has become two, which is that oneness in relationship, yin and yang. And that has evolved into increasingly differentiation until it's reached you and me, which are highly differentiated forms of the one. So I look at you and you're not me. How wonderful. And it's also all one, and we can see that as well. And that's when these deep mystical states open up.
And is this what you've referred to in the past as being deep awake?
Yeah.
That sort of consciousness of unity?
Yeah, I think so. What the other big thing that's happened to me over the last 12, 15 years is a transformation in how I see God. Now, God's a difficult word, but let's think of it, because it comes with all sort of preconceptions, but think of it, let's define it for the purposes of the discussion experientially. So many people have experienced a sense of connection or even communion with something greater, which is very loving and beautiful and benevolent. That experience of, wow, and I've had that all my life. And the assumption is that it's outside somehow, that it's supernatural, or that it's at the beginning and has created everything. So one of the things that I've noticed is that in my old work, I would talk about the one at the beginning, as people do. But I look back and I think, what did I mean? Because this one at the beginning, I treated mythically. It had intentions. It wanted to know itself. It manifests. It was an intelligence. Well, it wasn't one, was it? It was complex, very. And now I think, no, I don't think that's right. I think that what's at ground, or the essence of things, is literally the one, like what we mean with the word one when we talk about mathematics. The one, which is nothing but one, is also in relationship, is two. Just very simple. And that information has become everything. So that experience of that beautiful, benign, loving presence, which I think is absolutely real, isn't where it's come from. It's the leading edge of evolution, so that it's become ever richer and richer, and that there's a level beyond us as individual psyches, which is a kind of a communion of psyches, where psyches have come together, just like cells have come together to form a complex multicellular organism. So souls, or psyches, have come together to form a super system. And it's that super system that I think human beings have been experiencing as something greater, which gets called God. Which is not, to use the metaphor, it's not the ground, it's the sky. It's the universe is flowering into that. And that what we take to it, what we contribute to it, is our individuality. Which again is about why your life really matters. Because this doesn't say your life means nothing, it's just in the way, get back to the one and dissolve like a drop into the ocean, because nothing, all your struggles don't count for anything. This says, no, your individuality is it. Your evolution is it. You are the leading edge of the whole 14 billion year process. Make the journey, become more and more this unique, emergent, mature, reflective, compassionate individual. And you bring that to this next level. What's the difference between, say, a slime mold and me as a body? Is that in a slime mold, all the cells are the same. They work together, but they're all individual single cells being a slime mold together. and the reason that you're having a conversation with me about the nature of reality, rather than there being a slime mold here, is that all the cells in my body are doing something different. They're all individual. That's what enables this level of complexity. And I think it's like that with the next level up. That what enables this, like a supercomputer, if it was lots of computers, for instance, what that super system is is our individuality. So that far from it being throwaway or the thing that's in the way, it's actually the very thing we bring to the next level, which is, it gives such meaning to life.
It reminds me of something in the Kabbalah somewhere that says God needs man as much as man needs God. But I take from that the idea that, we're not in the way, we're not part of the way, we are the way moving forward, literally moment by moment,
Yes.
because each moment is a step, is an edge that's never happened before. So even
Yes, beautifully put.
down to our thoughts, like the next thought, the next intention, the next action is part of that huge evolution into, well, there's nothing ahead of it. We are that wave moving forward.
That's captured it perfectly, Mike. That's exactly the vision. Yeah, that the universe is genuinely creative, and we are
Yeah.
part of that. So we are genuinely creative. The future is not fixed.
Mm.
It's not all laid out by some super intelligence at the beginning, but rather, not intelligent design, but the evolution of intelligence. Not something created, but the evolution of creativity. That's what we're in.
In that sense, I mean, this sounds, in a sense, we are gods. I mean, I met an Indian guru in India many years ago, and he'd written a book with an amazing title, and it was called Renounce God, Be God. But that sort of thing, we are the magicians of our lives, and we are creating our own lives, through our intentions and thoughts and emotions. But that's kind of rippling forward into the very next moment of your life.
I think what I'm doing with all of it is taking a lot of old ideas and going, there's something really important here. We just need to see it in an evolutionary context. And if we do, we can rescue it from being abandoned eventually because it's just out of date. Because the expression may be out of date, but what the thing is trying to address is not. For me, things like serving God, which, I almost became a friar when I was younger, and had this real sense of wanting to serve this higher thing that I keep touching. And that's even stronger than ever now, but I understand it differently. I'm not, obeying this thing which is telling me what to do. I'm actually trying to play a role in its evolution by evolving myself and by trying to serve a greater communal evolution rather than just my own. And there's a kind of, if you're a reflective person, to me, it becomes very hard to have a God at the beginning because it just doesn't work. First of all, it doesn't answer anything.
Mm.
It just goes, how has all of this arrived? Well, there's even a bigger mystery at the beginning. There's a super intelligence that just exists and it created everything. It's like, okay, has that helped? There's that element. And then look at what it created. There's such a random element to the evolutionary process. I mean, the 5 complete extinctions is the current idea. Why 250 million years of dinosaurs? I mean, why did God do that? Doesn't seem to make much sense, does it? It's like, whereas an evolutionary picture, which is kind of a bit random, and that does make sense. And then all the suffering, it's like, oh, so let me get this right. God designed a world in which nearly all kids would die under the age of 4, where everything just eats everything else in the most brutal, uncompromising way, and where there's diseases which can eat parasites will eat the brains of young children who've just gone for a swim and it's gone in through their ears. It's like, this God is stupid and mean. Mm. And that's not what I experience. I don't experience something which is stupid or mean. I experience something which is super intelligent and absolutely full of love and compassion and benevolence. So how do you square that? And for me, it was a huge relief when I just went, oh, because it's not at the beginning, is it? It's the leading edge. And that's why when I touch it, I become more like it. And why it feels more real, because it's not more real, it's all real, but it's the leading edge of what is being realized. And so when I touch it, it's like, oh yeah, this is the next level.
I'd love to know your thoughts on the role of love in this process, because it seems to me, and I think this is what you're saying, and certainly what I experience, when you touch into that or you experience that, it is felt as a kind of love that you almost cannot help but share to the best of your ability with the people around you, and how far removed that is from the more sort of separate egoic sense that we have, where it's me, grab and grasp, which many of us live in that mode, just a mode, of course, but many of us live in that. And I wonder if is that the deeper sleep way of living, maybe, sort of sleepwalking. It doesn't feel good to be in that contracted, needy state. I mean, it felt horrible for me, but suddenly touching that something deeper, it is liberating. It's freedom, it's love, and it's non-separate from whatever else there is. And then you sort of move forward from that place.
Yeah, beautifully put, Mike. Exactly. See, I think love is an emotion, and emotion. We the simple mechanics that I see generally is that we read and respond to the universe. And not just us. Every single system does that. We're doing it with ideas, seeing what it is, and then we respond. And our emotions are one of the first levels of response. And take basic ones like fear and anger, fight and flight. So you're reading it, oh, it's danger, and I respond like this, and it floods the body with emotion, and you're ready for action. It's a first level of response, and love's like that. So when you feel good and connected and communing and safe, you feel this love. It's soft and it's warm and it feels great, and you feel that with your lovers and your friends, and it's a very basic human experience which we value. When you enter these deep states of oneness, it's like that with everything.
Mm.
So you're having this huge agape, meta, big love, I just call it that
Yeah.
kind of, and it's oceanic and beautiful, and it's the emotional response to it's like what a line that I used years ago was love is how oneness feels.
Yes.
You get the one, and it's like I'm connected with everything and everyone. So I think that's what happens, and then I think another word which is useful is benevolence, because often that love you can't stay in an emotion, because you can't stay in uh, certainly the big love is just like, whoa, I mean, the idea of meeting with my accountant would be like, money. Can I just give you it? And so that's no good. But what I notice is that over the years, what's built up is what you might call a universal benevolence. That even when I'm shouting at the TV, there's a universal benevolence that starts to be for everyone, even those that you might think are doing bad things, and you might need to stop them doing bad things. There's still a fundamental benevolence for the whole that becomes embedded in you. And that's what I think of when I contact that higher super system, whatever name you give to it, that big us, God. There's this benevolence, and one of the lovely parts of that is you just feel there is something. I feel there's something greater than me looking out for me. It's not running the show. It can't do everything because it's arising from the universe. It's not created it. It's rising from it. But it is on my side, and I think it's why it's so reassuring. I think if you don't have it, it's really hard to get through life because life's so bittersweet.
And as you say, I mean, love is a passing emotion, and I love how you phrase that. Love is how oneness feels, and there's a sort of ground level of feeling safe,
Hmm.
which is a kind of, I mean, wow, to feel safe just in your life regarding whatever pops up in your humanity. This kind of ground level of feeling safe and held in some way is,
I think there's two things for that for me, Mike. I mean, I agree with you, and apart from that is connecting with this bigger thing. I think makes you feel safe because one of the things that set me off on all of this was my parents dying and wanting to express my profound intuition throughout that experience, which involved lots of suffering, that death was okay. That despite everything, that the spiritual traditions of going death is not the end were absolutely correct. And yet, I felt like I was living in a world where that was increasingly being seen as somehow sort of woo-woo nonsense. And there was a lovely interview with Richard Dawkins, who's a brilliant man, who is a brilliant biologist. But there's a brilliant, very fascinating moment where the interviewer said something really quite daft, really. But he said to Richard, "So, do you think do you think there's life after death?" To which Richard, a famous atheist, for those that don't know Richard, very famous atheist, the look, his look of, oh, he just said, "Look, It's just impossible. And that captured it for me. I've seen this increase in a world where, yeah, you believe it because it'll make you feel better, but it's just impossible. As if we know that now. In the evolutionary spiritual movement, people like Ken Wilber didn't really explain it. So I set out to go, how can we understand the immortality of the soul within an evolutionary context? Because my basic hypothesis is everything that exists has evolved. So if the psyche, the soul, is can survive the death of the body, it has evolved to be able to do that. And one of the things I'm most pleased with is I think I've put forward a credible and worthy of attention view, which goes, I think this is how it's evolved. And I think this is why it does survive the death of the body. And when you know that, there's another level of being safe.
I mean, that takes us quite nicely into something else you mentioned, I think, at the start of the interview. And it's something I've been fascinated by my whole life, and which probably led me into spirituality, which is the paranormal. I mean, the supernatural. Um, and the way I see that now is that, if consciousness is this kind of core or fundamental texture of reality, then so much that we don't understand about it. So I wonder how you view the supernatural now. Is that, I guess it's inclusive in the reality that you describe.
Well, one of the big shifts for me, one of the areas where I've had to go up and go, I think I was wrong. In effect, I was wrong about 34 of my 35 books, all but the last one, in this one respect, was that all of them are based on the idea you just mentioned, which is this is all in consciousness. I now think that's a mistake. This idea that everything is arising in consciousness. So the normal way that's understood is there's two possible positions. There's a materialist view, or a variant on it, which goes, really, there's the objective world and consciousness is a byproduct of it. And then there's the idealist view, which goes, no, it's all in consciousness. And anything, like you said, anything can happen because it's all in consciousness. It's all like a dream. That's what I was saying and teaching. I think both of those are wrong. I think there's a third alternative which we need to consider. And so I have a different theory of consciousness, not as the ground at all, as something which is emerging in the process of evolution. It's about how we process things. I'm processing this consciously. It's where we pay attention and we process then in high definition. That's what consciousness is. So I haven't been conscious of my left foot, but I am now paying attention. Now it's conscious. Bang, wherever I put that attention, high definition, completely different view of consciousness. So then you're left with, okay, so how do you understand all those things you're talking about? And to put it very quickly, what I'm suggesting is that the psyche is an imaginal level of reality. It's arisen. We can go into that, how it's arisen, but that domain is like an ecology of psyche. I call it the imaginos. It's like there's the cosmos, and from it is arisen the imaginos. It's arisen from it. It can't exist supernaturally. It's an extension of the natural world, but it exists. And it's where people have near-death experiences. Well, they have death experiences. It's what the esoteric traditions have always been exploring. It's causal. It does stuff. It's doing stuff now. I'm intending to move my hand. I'm moving my hand. The imaginal level affects the physical level. I think it's how magic happens and synchronicity happens. And I think it also, that stuff which gets called paranormal is talking about things which are, let's say, transphysical or transbiological. But it's all part of the one evolving, the one process of becoming.
So when we're not accessing that, I mean, even if we go with the consciousness is all sort of more traditional way of looking at things, even if we're not becoming aware that we are aware, ignoring the fact that we are conscious and that is just a huge portal into mystery. It is a shame that we're not noticing that we're aware. We don't even really know what awareness is, and yet it's all we experience all the time. What you're saying is, sort of similar but different in that it's an emergent property that we're just not tapping into or we're ignoring, and yet it's here.
Yes, that's been the price of the post-scientific era has been we've cut ourselves off, and either we've just carried on the past, and that seems increasingly inadequate, which is what's happened. Most people are still evolved in the mythic religious ideas. Those that have left those behind feel like they've got to cut themselves off from that. So you end up with this vision of reality or human life as, well, look, if you've got a kind of macho enough, you can face the reality, which is you're a clever monkey clinging to a rock in the middle of nowhere, here for a few decades going, what's this? And then you'd nothing. Right? That's the way it is. And if you can't face it, well, live in your fantasy. All of that. And what I want to come along is, guys, no, that's not it. You're part of this unbelievable process of becoming, which has not only taken us from just pure information to matter, and then to life, and then to sentience and consciousness, and then psyche, soul, which is a whole domain now, and whole ecosystem of soul in which we can survive the death of the body and continue the journey. And that's led to a communion of psyches or souls, which we experience as this super benign intelligence, which you can tap into. All of that's for real. And that's why I'm quietly confident that all of this will come back in the next big flip in understanding at some point, because it's real. Now, if it's not real, we'll leave it behind. But because I think it is real, you can't ignore these more emergent levels of reality forever. And we are, not everyone, but as a collective.
So you're saying that these emergent levels are real and that they're not going to go away. And the next step forward is that we're almost going to rediscover and integrate them into our modern understanding.
That's exactly it, Mike.
And then, so how does technology, the internet, and AI, which is failing us a little bit at the moment on this Zoom call, but how does that fit in and help or hinder that movement forward?
Yeah, great question. So what strikes me is that futurologists always look to technology, which I think there's a massive technological revolution coming very soon, and who knows what the impact of it will be. That will carry on as our scientific understanding, I hope, will continue to expand. Well, so what I'm suggesting is that there will be something else as well, and it's the something else as well which is the unexpected bit, because it's easy to predict more of the same. But history's not like that. The big shifts are, oh, didn't see that coming. And that's when, the scientific revolution or the Christian revolution in the West, these are things which, really, there's going to be a movement which is based on Jews in Alexandria or Jerusalem, which is going to change the world. Like, really? Didn't see that coming. So there's these shifts, and that's what I think will be the return of spirituality. How they impact on each other, I think, who knows? But one of the big things is the democratization of access, so that we've moved from we talked about the book as old technology. So it wasn't that long ago with the printing press where suddenly, apart from just a tiny handful of people could read, it became widespread, and then people could publish. Still not easy, but you could, and you could reach lots of people. Then we've come through all the technology in between, and we've been mass consumers. We're all mass creators. This is going to go out. It could reach a handful of people, but it could reach millions. It's possible. And everyone is in that position now. So the level of the interaction of ideas means that the ideational, like a gene pool, if you've got a small gene pool, it gets very distorted and you get deformation. You get a big gene pool, it throws up new things, some of which could be brilliant. So I see what's happening with ideation is that we've got a ever-increasing ideational pool, which is confusing, but it also means that new ideas are cropping up all the time, and good ideas. And there's a selective process where sooner or later we tend to go for the better ideas, which is why things tend to progress. I think it will support that happening. If what I'm saying has any validity at all, and there will be a new understanding, then the very technology you've been talking about will mean that when the time comes for it to take off in whatever form it takes at that moment, it could happen quite fast. It's not going to take hundreds of years this time. It's just going to happen, bang,
Yeah.
and across the world potentially as well. So that's all new, and that's because of our and then with AI, who knows how it's going to go, but my aspiration, if I can dream it into reality, would be that it enables a very prosperous world in which people find it not so necessary to do all the things they don't want to do. And I think that leaves people able then to reflect on what it is to be alive in a much deeper way. Because I've done it all my life, because I've been lucky. I mean, I've not been rich, but I've made that decision, and I've lived in a culture where I could get away with it, whereas most people aren't. So if the number of people who can make that decision, should they want to, it will increase our overall evolutionary journey.
That's great to hear, actually, because often we hear a lot of maybe scaremongering about AI. And yeah, obviously there's downsides and potential scary outcomes, but the benefit could be that it frees us up for the first time in human history to actually reflect. And in that sense, maybe we see the internet, this kind of online imaginal world or digitized world, as an emergence of the next level of the mind or consciousness. It's another level that we can comes from us.
I think what we've done, I think we always do it actually with our technology, is that we can't help ourselves. We mimic reality
Mm.
because what we're creating, an artifact, is within reality, obviously. So we mimic something about reality. So I think what's happened is that we've understood, physics has understood, oh, the primal atom is not matter, it's a bit of information. There's an informational level to reality. That doesn't mean that all of this is a supercomputer or anything like that. It just means that information is a level of reality that becomes matter, becomes life, becomes psyche, blah blah blah. And it feels like what we've done with the internet is similar. It's like that life has already done that. That information's become alive, it's been conscious, and then life has created this imaginal realm. And then what we've done is the same. We've started off with very simple computers and and then we've gone, hey, with this digital stuff, we can create virtual realities. And then we have.
Yeah.
And and what are they? Well, they're mimics. They're simulations. And what is it? What is the imaginal? It's a simulation. But because it's a simulation, in the imagination, pigs can fly. Anything can happen. Not in the real world. Pig can't do that. Pigs are pigs. But in the imaginal world, they're images. So we can manipulate it, and that enables us both to have this incredible experience of the imaginos as a realm of reality. I think people describe that in their near-death experiences beautifully. But it also enables us to develop ideas which we then bring into this. And as I sit here with you now, apart from the plants outside the window, everything has been through the imaginos. Everything's been through the imagination. Every single thing I can see. Even the plants have been put there by someone on purpose. That's what we live in. If that's heaven, we're bringing heaven to earth. That's what we do.
So how do you bring all this experience of feeling deep awake rather than maybe deep asleep? How do you bring that to people?
Well, in terms of sharing the ideas, I'm getting better and better slowly as I work on it, I think, at being able to convey the vision. And what I love, and it's been lovely talking to you, Mike, because I can see that what I always want to do is be so clear that people actually understand what I'm saying, because then they can evaluate it. They can agree or disagree. If I haven't been able to articulate it, they don't know what to do. So my job is to be clear. Generally, I want us to understand this together. And so I'm always happy to engage with people. So that's the ideational side of it. And then there's the experiential, which is about deep connection. Because I think if we can, I've said, look, the psyche or the soul is a level of reality. So what's been happening in this conversation is that our bodies have just been sat here. I've been waving my arms like I have to for some reason, but we're sat here in our chairs talking to you. All the activity has been happening in the imaginal. So what I want to do with people is a type of gazing which I've been pioneering now for 30 years, which goes, let me connect with you. And so we connect, and then that experience of oneness starts to arise with you, and and that's when the love kicks in. So it's like you talked about a portal before, lovely word. It's like a portal into that oneness, and I'll experiment with that a little bit, and it's very safe, and it's very beautiful. It's very soft, and it opens up that deep connection. So I'll do both, which is my passion. I'll share ideas and I'll share experiences, and hopefully people will see how they all fit together.
And so, Tim, just people listening to this, then, if they want to, discover your work or move more deeply into it, or listen to the pod book and engage with that, where can they do that?
The Podbook is available on YouTube. It's called Why Your Life Really Matters. The Podbook by me, Tim Freke. If you get the name spelt right, you'll definitely find me because there's only one of me. It's an odd name. If you want to know more about the retreats I run, then we have a retreat in Glastonbury, which is in October, where we'll be diving in experientially for a whole weekend. I run an online community, which is lovely, open-hearted, big, open-minded group of explorers from all over the world called the International Community of Unividuals, which people can come and talk with me. We meet every Sunday in the evening on a Sunday. It's like, yeah, it's beautiful. And also you can just join as a passive member and just get the video sent to you and all of that. So I do all of that. You can find out about that on my website, timfreak.com. And then the other thing I thought would be nice to mention is that now our kids have left and got old and gone off into the world. I'm able to travel to events like Mindful Man with my beautiful wife, who I do run the retreats with, who works with all of the same stuff, but focused on the body with embodied meditation. She has this thing called meditation massage, because what I love about this whole vision is it involves all of you. The psyche and ideas, I love all of that, but it's also body, and right, where does that fit in, and how you can use that as a portal to these amazing awakened states. So she'll be doing that, and I'll be there in the background supporting her, as she's done so often for me.